29 people were killed in a knife attack in China and 130 were wounded as a result. Now, there were 8 suspects, 4 of which were shot down by police officials. 1 was captured alive and the rest are still free, and authorities, of course, are investigating so they can go ahead and catch them. Now, this is one of the worst knife attacks in China, and they've been happening since 2010. And apparently the Uyghurs in China, which is a group of Muslims, feel really angry with the government there because they are unable to practice their religion freely. So as a result, they're kind of unleashing their anger in this way. And of course, they attacked people completely randomly. And it wasn't just men, women were involved in this attack. And it's really sad. Authorities reported it as organized, premeditated, a violent terrorist attack.
So now, of course, the predictable result of this will be that in the U.S., people will say, see, you don't need guns. You know, we had 29 people killed with a simple knife. First of all, they weren't necessarily simple knives. They were, but much more importantly, there was a whole group of people doing the attacks, right? And it's huge news because when do 29 people ever die from knife attacks? Literally, not almost never. I think this might be the first one.
Yeah,
right.
So this is the first time that 29 fatalities resulted from a knife attack in China. And I looked up some statistics and some numbers to see how many people have died and how many assailants were involved in past knife attacks. Because what made this one so unique wasn't just the number of fatalities, but the number of people that were involved in carrying out the attack. So I wanted to look at U.S. mass shootings, compare, what guns do, the kind of damage guns do, as opposed to knife incidents that you see in China. In 1999, of course, there was the Columbine High School massacre. There were 2 shooters, 15 fatalities. In 2007, there was the Virginia Tech massacre. 1 shooter, 33 fatalities. In 2012, there was the Newtown school shooting, and there was 1 shooter, 28 fatalities. If you look at the Chinese non-firearm attacks, not all of them involve knives. Some of them actually involve axes. In 2014, the attack that we just told you about, there were 8 attackers, 29 fatalities. In 2012, there was another attack. There was 1 attacker, 0 fatalities. In 2011, an axe attack, 1 attacker, 4 fatalities. In 2010, 1 attack with 1 attackers, 4 fatalities.
Right. You know why? It's hard to kill people with axes and knives. It takes a while, and it's easier to stop, right? Now, that's why in this case, they needed a whole group of attackers to attack at the same time. It makes it actually doubly hard. You don't know who's attacking, and you don't know who has the knife, and it's harder to stop that way. Now, imagine, well, they did a lot of damage, 29 people killed. Imagine if they had automatic weapons. And look, how many people they could have mowed down.
And another thing that I want to say is, if you look at the number of people that have died in shootings in the United States going back to the 1980s, there are so many more people that died as a result of guns in the U.S. as opposed to knife attacks in China. It's not, you can't even compare the two. Yeah. And so, making the argument that, hey, if we have sensible gun regulation in the United States, then what are you going to do? You're going to ban knives? No, we're not going to ban knives. And no one is even advocating for banning guns. I believe in our Second Amendment. I believe that people have the right to carry firearms. However, the right people should be able to carry firearms. We should get rid of gun show loopholes. We should ensure that we don't have organizations like the NRA pushing to have literal terrorists have the right to carry weapons here in the United States. I mean, this is stuff that should make sense to everyone, but there's so much propaganda in the media that for some reason we don't even believe in common sense anymore. We just think everyone should have guns because we're so paranoid that normal people aren't going to have access to guns.
By the way, you know why they didn't use guns and they used knives instead? Because guns were banned in China and they couldn't get their hands on them. Okay, if they could have used guns, they would have used guns. You know why? Because they killed more people.